Welcome to Blended Scotch Reviews, episode number 35. This is Stab the Dragon Productions, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas on Friday, November 7th, 2025, where it is sunny and 78 degrees, a perfect fall day. We are here conducting a Blended Scotch Family Feud number 2, where we are comparing the various members of the famous Grouse family of blended scotches to see if I can identify which one is my favorite. So far in this contest, we've had 3 head-to-head matches. Famous Grouse versus Ruby Cask lost. Smoky Black versus Bourbon Cask lost. And then the losers match between the Ruby Cask and Bourbon Cask, and Ruby lost again. Now we have the championship match between the Famous Grouse and Famous Grouse Smoky Black for the championship. Now let me hasten to add that all 4 of these Grouses, these Grice, the Grouse Eyes, Grouchis, are all good whiskeys. I would never turn down a glass from any of these and will continue to buy them. This is probably my 3rd bottle of Famous Grouse and 2nd or 3rd of the Smoky Black. My method: I evaluate these whiskeys on the same criteria as I do all my reviews, looking at their history, their bottle label and marketing, the appearance, composition, nose, taste, mouthfeel, burn, and finish, and how well they serve as mixers or how they serve as neat. And then I look at the price, value, and availability. But really the deciding factor in this contest is drinkability. That is, which one do I simply like the best? Now the contest is conducted with blacked out glasses here. So it is a blind contest. I don't know which is in which because after I pour the whiskeys, I mix them up. For part of the fun, I try to guess which whiskey is in which glass at the end. The glasses are numbered on the bottom, so you, the viewer, will know which is which. And, my average for guessing right is about 50%. This is clearly harder than it was supposed to be. Today's contest is the championship match between the Famous Grouse and Smoky Black, so let's get on with it. History. The Famous Grouse brand goes back to 1905, while the Smoky Black started in 2015, but its predecessor was called the Black Grouse. As you can see on the label, there's a Black Grouse versus the Red Grouse. And the Black Grouse goes back to 2007. But still, you've got 2007 versus 1905, over 100 years difference. So Famous Grouse for the win on the history department. Bottle, label, and marketing. While the bottles are exactly alike shape-wise, there might possibly be a very light tint on the Smoky Black. Okay, I think the glass may be tinted just a little bit. I'm not 100% positive on that, but it, looks like it. And the labels, though, is where the clear difference is. The Famous Grouse is bright and cheerful. You got the Red Grouse there, while the Smoky Black is darker, more mysterious, foreboding even. You have the bright Red Grouse versus the Black Grouse. I tend to prefer the Smoky Black bottle because it's so mysterious and foreboding and fits my personality. But for marketing, however, it's the basic Famous Grouse that wins, hands down. Here locally in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, a couple of years ago, there was an advertising campaign featuring the Famous Grouse on a local radio station, WBAP. That ad ran for over a year. And the specialty, the finished cask, the cask series, or this other one here, they don't get anything as far as advertising that I have seen. So, all right, so I'm going to call the bottle, label, and marketing a tie because Smoky Black wins on the bottle and label, but the Famous Grouse clearly wins with name recognition and advertising. So that's a tie. Appearance of these whiskeys. In the bottle, you can see the Famous Grouse is very light compared with the Black Grouse. And again, I think that bottle is tinted a little bit, but it's still, if you pour it in a clear glass, you can see that there is a difference. So I tend to prefer, just aesthetically, darker whiskeys. So For appearance, the famous Smoky Grouse is going to be the winner. Composition. As far as I could tell, these are the same whiskeys, except the Smoky Black has a peated whiskey in it. And the peated whiskey that I have seen is Glenturret. Now, the problem is with Glenturret, here we go, this is the Glenturret peated version. This distillery was actually the home base for the grouse. And so if you wanted to go visit the grouse, this is where you ended up. But I think that relationship has ended. And Glenturret, sadly, a year ago, announced they were discontinuing their peated whiskey. And that's a tragedy because this is good as gold. I mean, as peated whiskeys goes, this is the peatier of the peats, right? I've compared it with Ardbeg and Kalila and a few others, and Glenturret, that's like licking a tire and liking it. So for composition, Smoky Black for the win, because it's got something else going on there that the regular grouse does not. Now, neater mixer. Again, Smoky Black is more versatile. This will hold up in a cocktail better than the plain, ordinary, famous grouse. And so, because it's more versatile, neater mixer win goes Smoky Black. Okay, let's get on with the real competition now. So I'm going to nose these left to right. I don't know which is in which glass. Famous grouse is in glass number 1, and there's a number on the bottom. You'll be able to see it. I won't. And I'll start nosing on the left. It's got a pleasant nose. Sweet, malty. Maybe some hints of pears and apples. Very pleasant nose. Today my nose seems to be working. Does not always work. Okay, I'm going to the one on the right. I think I'm getting hints of peat smoke. This may be the Smoky Black, number 2, glass number 2. Kind of an earthy, smoky. Still get a little bit of the maltiness, but you know it's still real faint. It is entirely possible for me to confuse these two. Really, on the nose, I'm liking this one on the left the best. I don't know. Let me try one more time. On the right is just fainter. I don't think it's my imagination. There might be peat in there, but it's so faint. So I'm going to say the one on the left has the better nose. And so therefore I will start with the one on the right. That's just generally how I do it, is the weaker nose gets the start. If this is the Smoky Black, though, that can wreck your palate. And that's kind of what I think this is. So I don't want to do that. I'm going to start with the one on the left because I think this is the famous grouse. I think Pete was in the other one, even though this had the better nose. So, but Pete will wreck your palate for anything else, at least for me. And that is a lovely pour. I kind of think that's Famous Grouse, glass number 1. A little bit of maltiness and fruit. Hints of spice, a little bit of spice going on there. That's just a lovely pour. I like Famous Grouse a lot. I really think that was glass number 1. All right, glass number 2. But see, the Smoky Black is not strongly peated. I mean, it's an intro to peat, really. And so, with a palate as undisciplined as mine, I might confuse the two. I can tell they're related, but at the back end of the palate and the finish, the smoke comes through. This is definitely glass number 2, the Smoky Grouse. And so you get on the front end, the sweetness, a little bit of the fruit, the grain. And then at the back of the palate, the smoke starts to come in. And then the finish, the smoke lingers in the front palate as well. So if you like smoke, this is really pretty good. And I happen to like smoked scotches, peated scotches. But these are two different animals, and I like both of them. I think I tend to prefer the Smoky Black. I like the peat that just gives you a little bit of extra. The mouthfeel, burn, and finish on these is about the same. I mean, obviously these are 80 proof blends, so you're not going to have a real rich palate, but I wouldn't call these thin either. And so, you know, it's a decent mouthfeel. The burn is very soft, very gentle, maybe not even a burn. It may just be tingles, letting you know, hey, this is a whiskey. So I'm going to try the one on the left. Yeah, again, it's mouthfeel and burn. It's about the same, but the finish is definitely stronger with the one on the right, which I think is the Smoky Black. So here's my scoring. The nose, the one on the left wins, but the taste, the one on the right wins. Mouthfeel, burn, and finish, the one on the right wins because of the finish. So I'm declaring the one on the right to be the winner. And as far as which is which, I'm going to say the one on the right, the winner, is glass number 2, Smoky Black. And I am correct. Glass number 1 is Famous Grouse. So this competition, it boils down to if you like peated smoky scotches better, then Smoky Black is the winner. And that's what it boiled down to for me. And it was readily identifiable, not so much on the nose. I mean, the nose on the Black Grouse was a little bit faint. I mean, I thought maybe I was getting some peat, but I wasn't sure. And the one on the left had the better nose. So, you know, that can happen. But all right, so sometimes now we didn't discuss price, value, and availability, and that's really one of my tiebreakers. And I've had some ties before, but the Smoky Black is about $6 or $7 more a bottle, and it is slightly less available. I think it's not as readily available as the Famous Grouse, but it tends to be the one that I really do like the best. And so for me, value here is in what do I prefer? Is this $6 or $7 more valuable? I think so. And so it wins the price, value, and availability as well as the taste. So yeah, Smoky Black for the winner. Now, frequently what I do with the winner is I give a cocktail. You know, I make a cocktail for the winner and enjoy that. So stand by, I'll go make a cocktail out of the Smoky Black Grouse. And I'm back with an old-fashioned, sort of. Okay, so I used Famous Grouse Smoky Black. And then for bitters, I used Aztec chocolate bitters, along with Fee Brothers orange bitters. For sweetener, I prefer maple syrup for something like this. I just think that goes with the smokiness a little bit better. And then you can see the orange peels in there, but there's also a couple of cherries, Luxardo dark cherries going on there. And I gave it a taste test, and it was very good. And I let my wife taste it, and she said this was very good. So there you go, the Famous Grouse Smoky Black in an old-fashioned. This will definitely work. I still get a little bit of the peat smoke, and that's what I'm looking for. A lot of the 80 proof scotches are so weak that their flavor gets lost in a cocktail, and that happens, and I want to taste the flavor of the whiskey. So here, the Smoky Black, at least the smokiness lingers, stays with you through the cocktail, so that's a good thing. All right, so that's it for this championship. We have a Famous Grouse Smoky Black is the champion, but wait, we have a challenger. The Bourbon Grouse, bourbon cask finished right here. He says, hey, I won the loser bracket. I have not gone up against the Famous Grouse. I demand a challenge. So, the Famous Grouse bourbon cask will go head to head against the Famous Grouse original next time. And then we'll see how it goes from there. All right, until then, this is Stab the Dragon Productions and Blended Scotch Reviews out here.